Okay, so I was supposed to be working on this video way earlier than this, but I got super busy with work, school, everything, and I just got back, so let's dive straight into it. Starting with the questions. Problems aside Luminor issue. So this scooter has full of problems, just problems after problems, and I'm going to address those in this video, every single one of them, so stay tuned. Starting with question number 2. Obviously RX7 felt different. It was taller, heavier, beefier, different shape. So I needed a little bit of learning curve to get used to the scooter, but it wasn't that bad. After about 100 miles, I got used to the scooter, and ever since, it just felt like part of my body. No problem whatsoever with riding the scooter, and that's also the problem with this scooter. Like, if you're just riding the scooter, there's no problem, but everything else, there are problems, which answers the question number 3. So don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna say that the RX7 is a bad scooter. I mean, literally, I am riding this scooter every single day. So if it was a bad scooter, I might have thrown away, but I'm using it, right? Which means it's not that bad. But would I recommend it? That's a totally different story, right? We gotta think about a lot of things. First is delay. The first batch got delayed before its release. Second batch got delayed. They promised for a new display that they said it's gonna come out in weeks. Now it's taking months. 2024 is about to end, and I don't think we're getting new display ever at this point. And a couple of RX7 owners that I know, they're still waiting weeks for their replacement parts, and every single time they reach out to customer support, like, the most common answer they hear is out of stock, out of inventory. I don't know what's going on. It's just a simple part, right? It's just a replacement parts, but they're always out of stock, and they gotta wait for weeks. Like, what is going on? So keep in mind, if you were to become an RX7 owner or any kind of RoadRunner scooter, honestly, I feel like other scooter models are fine because it's been around for a while, but at least for RX7, if you plan to become an RX7 owner, if something happens and if you happen to reach out to RoadRunner, expect to wait. Expect to wait. That's just the way it is for now. Next is power and controllers. So if you have watched my previous video, you might have seen like power cutoffs. Basically, I was going 50 miles per hour, and then out of nowhere, the scooter decided to lose power, and then literally the speed just hit the ground from 50 to 30, and then I was kind of panicking, but I still haven't figured out what the exact cause is. It might have been the battery, it might have been the controller, but now I have a dedicated monitor for the BMS. Like, apart from the app, there is a display that shows the battery stats. I'm using that, and I'm like staring at it 24/7, and I don't see any battery problems, so I'm leaning towards the controller issues. And doing a little bit of quick math, I've figured out a little bit of problems with the controllers. And long story short, regen braking can backfire over 4,000 watts to the battery. And I was just looking into spec sheets and stuff like that. And after quick math, I figured out that the regen brake on the RX7 is actually beyond the limits of the Samsung 50G cells. And the highest reading that I've seen personally was 4,000 watts, like over 4,000 watts. If you convert that into amps, that's like over 50 amps of current. Like 50 amps of regen current smashing into battery cells. Like, name me a battery pack that can charge at 50 amps of current. That's stupid high, but the controller is doing it anyway. So if you're going like super fast, and then if you hit a brake, it's gonna regen, right? And then that current is going straight into the battery. It could fry up your controller, it could fry up your battery. Anything can happen. Sure, once or twice it'll be fine, but you're not riding your scooter once or twice. You're riding your scooter over and over again. So you're smashing your battery over and over again with super high current. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's safe. A lot of these controllers are known for frying up the battery and just, like dying itself. So I'm opting out for VESC controllers. Those are like basically third-party controllers where you can configure every single thing. So I'm like thinking of opting out to those controllers, doing modifications to a complete controller swap so that I can manually tweak the settings to better fit with 50G cell specs. But for now, with the stock controller, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Next is the stem plate. So the stem has a fundamental problem with its structure, and RoadRunner is like, hey, ESG posted a solution to it, you should do that. No, it's not. It's not going to fix it because it's a structural flaw. Let me demonstrate it, okay? Let me show you once again. When you rotate the handlebar beyond its limit, the stem will rotate by itself because the locking mechanism is locking it sideways, right? And then we're rotating it sideways. What it does, it's going to loosen or tighten it, right? It just doesn't hold the stem in place. What it's worse is the stem itself has a plate. It has a plate up and down, right? And it has a rotational plate. You twist it, it twists. Like, it shouldn't be the case, but it does that. It's a scooter that goes more than 60 miles per hour, and you're just holding that thing with a nut. You think that's gonna be safe? Like, really, people? Really? Alright, let me demonstrate. The first, just tightening with my bare hands. No tools used, just my hands. Obviously, it does nothing, right? It's tightened with my hands. It does nothing. I'm gonna loosen back up and then show the second method, which is the ESG method, shaking the stem as you tighten it up. I'll let you hear the sound. Yes, that's how hard I shake as I tighten up, and the results are... you guessed it, no difference. Why? Because it's the structural flaw. Like, it will rotate sideways, and tightening sideways will do nothing. It's just simple physics. I'm gonna loosen back up, and then now it's method 3, using the filter wrench. This obviously generates way more power than my bare hands, but at this time, I'm gonna use filter wrench as I shake the stem. I'll let you hear the sound. I don't know how hard RoadRunner expects us to tighten up. I even tighten up the upper clamp with the filter wrench, and you know, you'll see the results soon, but you know, spoiler alert, it does nothing. Because, you know, like I said, it's a structural flaw. Twisting will twist the stem, just like that. Well, is that the end of the world? Not quite yet, because we're not done yet. RoadRunner also said that I was claiming high voltage shock. They said it's designed for a low voltage operation. Is that true? Let's figure it out. The way how I do this is very simple. You turn on your power source, match it up to 12 volts because that's the internal power source, and then you check that it's 12 volts. So yes, we have 12 volt power. We're gonna plug into the Luminor inverter and see what kind of voltage that we are reading. So I hooked up the inverter to the power supply and then the multimeter. There you have it, quote unquote low voltage operation, 134 volts. You know, like, I'm in America, well, outlets are 110, so you can't even fake that voltage out of nowhere. So there you have it. Next is the steering damper. On my first video, I said the steering damper will get loose, so make sure to use a thread locker. That's what I said, and after I used it, I said I no longer had such issues. I don't know where they got this from, but RoadRunner was complaining about me, like, making false claims about the steering damper. But, you know, like, I'm telling you, that's what I said. Use a thread locker, and you'll not have a problem. See, like, so it never got loose. It's no longer a problem, but that's not the problem. As you can see here, the steering damper, the front part of the steering damper is actually flat, but the rear part of the steering damper is angled. It's lower in terms of the angle, right? And then the problem is, when you turn the handlebar to the left, the upper part of the steering damper is flat, but the rear part of the steering damper is low, right? So it will bend, it will force bend the steering damper, causing it to leak oil in the, you know, steering damper with no oil inside. It's dangerous, and that's what it sounds like. Naughty. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, next is the suspension. So the shaft for the suspension bends because of the way how the suspension is designed. Sorry for the terrible drawing, but this is basically how suspension works, right? Spring gets pressed when there's an impact. But the RoadRunner's suspension is mounted horizontally instead of vertically. So the suspension is actually mounted sideways. So what happens is when there's an impact, instead of the springs getting pressed, the shaft takes the shock first, and then the exceeding impact will go through the spring. So like, it's kind of like the opposite what it should happen, and that's the aftermath of it. I'm only a 130-pound rider, so I don't expect my weight being the problem. It's purely design problem because, you know, the scooter is rated for up to 300 something pound rider, so I'm not even close there. But it happened on my scooter, which means there is a problem with the overall structural like structural design. And I'm just saying, like, if you take a look at every other scooters, like the hyper scooter ones and even the entry level scooters, even the younger brother RS5 from the RoadRunner, their suspension is mounted vertical so that whenever there's an impact, the spring will go up and down, not left and right. Like, I don't know whose idea this was, but that's what we have it for the RX7, and it's causing problems. Sure, it's not gonna be an immediate problem, like your suspension's not gonna break down, but in the long run, there's gonna be some, like longevity and durability concerns for sure. I know I've been flaming a lot about the RX7, so let me just tell you one good thing for sure. That is the brakes. Like the Magura brakes are really good. It's like the top of the line. As you can see, I'm riding it in the middle of the rain, and like the car in front of me was going slow and there was no car behind. So I was like just brake checking myself so that like I can test out what kind of grip I have. And absolutely no problem whatsoever stopping in the rain. You don't have to worry about slowing down. You don't have to worry about stopping. Nothing. It's just no slip. It will stop. It will stop. That's one thing good about it. Just feel the momentum, how fast it slows down. And see how fast I stop. So yeah, stopping was never a concern. I have super high confidence with the stopping power, and it's really the power of Magura. So if you have hyper scooter, if you don't have Magura brakes, go try out yourself. You'll never regret. Next for the kick plate, I wish if the kick plate was a little bit more less steep. Right now it's way too steep. It stresses out your foot super quick. So I wish if they fixed that. And then for the stand, it's way too soft. I wish if there was some kind of click to it, because right now, if you slightly push forward your scooter, or if there's an incline that makes your scooter to slightly move, that will fold and your scooter will hit the ground. So I wish if there's some kind of click to it, though. Like locking the stand is dangerous because say you forgot to fold your stand and then you start riding, and then when you hit the ground, it's just gonna damage the scooter. So like for that kind of sake, it's better to fold. But right now it's so easy to fold that any kind of slight movement will fold, and then your scooter will just collapse underground. So I wish if they kind of fix that. One more minor thing is the adapter for the steering damper. When you take a closer look to it, you see that there is a dent to the scooter body. That's basically the steering damper adapter, the side of it just smashing the wall as you turn left. So there's a lot of problem with the scooter turning left. Like turning left will smash the scooter wall, and it also bend your steering damper, making it to leak oil. All the nasty stuff happens when you try to make it. Also, it twists your stem. But yeah, other than that, that pretty much wraps up my review on the RX7. I pretty much have talked everything about it, and moving forward will be videos on the RX7 in terms of modifications and stuff like that, because like I'm done with the reviews. Like what else can I review? I'm just gonna work on videos with like modifications and tips, stuff like that. If you have any suggestions, leave it down in the comments below. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. Happy and safe riding. Bye.